All right, hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in once again to the Black Box Podcast, BBOR, Black Box Online Radio, coming to you from West Virginia. Well, we have the midterms coming up, and I thought we'd do a little bit of a lighter episode today because we've been covering a lot of murder cases and missing persons cases, so I thought, why don't we do something a little bit different? We haven't talked about any of the political things in a while. My biggest question to you: will the blue wave happen? I mean, that's just a simple question. Will the blue wave happen, or will it turn into a red wave? Let's look at some of the races that are going on. Some of the races that I'm most interested in. Let's start with California's 39th Congressional District. We have Gil Cesarinos going up against Young Kim. Young Kim is trying to become the first Korean-American woman to be elected to the House of Representatives, going up against Gil Cesarinos, who is a Navy veteran. And I thought this was rather interesting. He is a lottery winner. He won a lottery jackpot, and he's actually using his money on the campaign trail. Young Kim is running on the Republican ticket, and guess what? She's supported by the Paul Ryan Super PAC. Now, does that disqualify her immediately? Well, all we can say is the way you learn about candidates is not with hours of YouTube. It's you learn who is supporting them financially. That's just the biggest thing that's going on there. Both of these individuals are moderates, and I have not heard a single radical thing out of either one of their mouths. But what I can say is it does bother me that Young Kim is being supported by the Paul Ryan Super PAC. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm an independent. But, it's just like, it's where's the money coming from? That's the big question that's going on there. But I really want to know who's going to be victorious in the 39th District in California. Moving on to the 5th District of Pennsylvania, we have another Korean-American woman trying to become the first one in Congress. Her name is Pearl Kim, coming to us from the 5th District of Pennsylvania, going up against Mary Scanlon. The BBC did some coverage of this district to show the changing face of American politics. There are so many women running for office this midterm, and I think it's just an absolutely brilliant thing, and it's good. It's good news. I mean, we're definitely seeing a very large change in the entire scope of the American political scene, and American leadership is going to be very, very focused on both men and women in the future, and also people of color. But I really want to know who's going to win in this race in the 5th District. Mary Scanlon versus Pearl Kim. Mary Scanlon, the Democrat, Pearl Kim, the Republican. Pearl Kim is a remarkable individual. She has a great story. She, it's actually, a story of hardship. She's a cancer survivor. She's a sexual assault survivor. And because of the problems in, the way victims were treated, she became a special victims lawyer. And once again, the BBC did a segment on them that's available online. But I just want to know who's going to be victorious in the 5th Congressional District in Pennsylvania. Moving back to California, we have the 45th District, the 45th District in California, where we have Katie Porter going up against Mimi Walters. As I mentioned, lots of women running for office. It's a good thing, but Katie Porter is actually a student of Elizabeth Warren. I thought they meant that metaphorically. No, they meant it literally. She was a student of Professor Elizabeth Warren, and she's trying to dethrone Mimi Walters, who's an incumbent. This is the first time we've talked about a Democrat trying to overthrow an incumbent Republican. Will that happen? What I would say is, I definitely get the feeling from Katie Porter that she is coming down from a little bit too mainstream. I don't like the vibe that she's presenting, and we definitely know she does have connections to the Democratic establishment. Who's going to win in the 45th District of California? That's one that we have going on. We can move on to my home state of West Virginia. Joe Manchin is running for re-election against Patrick Morrisey. Is Manchin going to win? Most likely. He's favored to win. The last time I heard, he was 9 points ahead in the polls. But, it's just a big thing that's going on with this, where, the Democrats hate Joe Manchin. It's he voted for Kavanaugh, which is something the Democrats were opposed. The Republicans don't like Joe Manchin either because, he's a Democrat. It's there are a lot of things that are going on there, so it's just it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation for West Virginia. And in my 2nd Congressional District here in West Virginia, Tally Sargent is running for is running to unseat Alex X. Mooney. That's Alexander X. Mooney. X is his middle initial. I always like people who have X as their middle initial. It's always kind of, mysterious and alluring. I'm not joking. And one of the things that people are very concerned about with Tally Sargent is she was the West Virginia chair of Hillary Clinton's campaign. So a lot of people are viewing her as very establishment. But once again, Democrats want their votes, but they really shouldn't be trying to load in a bunch of super establishment individuals. Moving to the governor's race in Florida, we have Andrew Gillum going up against Ron DeSantis, and I was watching that debate, and that debate is nasty. Those guys are really throwing the mud, and I don't necessarily know who's going to win. Andrew Gillum is ahead in the polls, if I understand, and he was referred to as the most progressive in the Democratic primary. We'll see what happens with that particular race. Moving on to New York's, what's the district with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? She's running in the 45th district in New York, is that correct? Hope I remembered that correctly. She is going to be, hopefully, the next, it seems like she's almost has this guaranteed that she's going to be in Congress. But a lot of people were saying about AOC is that she didn't flip a seat. Like, her victory is not that meaningful. She didn't flip the seat. She didn't take a seat away from an existing Republican or an independent, so not too beneficial there. Is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez going to be a future presidential candidate? As of now, I almost think no. I think she might be a future Ted Kennedy or something of that nature, to be honest. But let's see what happens, with all of that. Also, we have Rashida Tlaib is most likely going to be one of the first Muslim women elected to Congress. Ilhan Omar from Minnesota, I think, is the next one. But both of them would become the first Muslim women elected to Congress, and I believe that would happen at the same time. Going on to Texas's 9th Congressional District, we have Keisha Rogers, an independent, and LaRouche-backed candidate, going up against no Republican challenger but Al Green. Al Green is the incumbent Democrat, and as far as I know, it seems like the Democratic establishment likes Al Green. The LaRouche movement is referring to him as Al-Qaeda Green. Al-Qaeda Green. They're saying that he supports all the wars in the Middle East. And Keisha Rogers is a very interesting individual. I don't mean this in any negative way, but when she is presenting and she's, giving her speeches, I just can't focus on her. She doesn't have that massively engaging public speaking quality, but her writings are very profound. She's talked about, getting rid of NAFTA and instituting the NABRI. I kid you not, NABRI, NABRI, North American Belt and Road Initiative, which is about, calling for an alliance with China, Russia, India, and the United States, joining China's Belt and Road Initiative. Something that the LaRouche movement has talked about for a long time. I really want to know what's going to happen. What are the numbers going to be like with Keisha Rogers going up against Al Green in Texas's 9th Congressional District? Oh, speaking of Texas, we also have some individual named Ted Cruz up against some other individual named Beto O'Rourke. Beto O'Rourke is trying to unseat Ted Cruz to become a Democratic senator representing Texas. What on earth is going to happen? A lot of people are very impressed with Beto O'Rourke. I'm not one of them. When I hear him, presenting, once again, he just comes across as just an ordinary Democratic politician. I don't care that he plays the drums. I don't care that he can ride a skateboard. Does anyone actually care about that stuff? I mean, it's the same thing Bill Clinton playing the saxophone back in the 1990s. That means absolutely nothing. That's just kind of like a gimmick. It's just a novelty. It has nothing to do with what is their platform, and of course, who is supporting them financially, and also what are their votes going to be like once they're actually in the Senate, or, of course, Bill Clinton was running for president, but for someone like Beto O'Rourke, what's his voting going to be like in the Senate? To me, he just comes across as an ordinary politician. However, he's going up against Ted Cruz, the embodiment of slime. Ted Cruz is someone who's only in it for Ted Cruz, and everybody knows it. I'm very surprised that he has such a large Republican following in Texas, but at this time, it's about the votes. And that's what people are wondering about. It's not a marriage, it's not a contract. the votes in November are going to be tactical. I really want to know what's going to happen with the Ted Cruz-Beto O'Rourke debate. Sorry, the Ted Cruz-Beto O'Rourke election. I mean, I saw the debates, and once I was not very impressed with either one of them. It's like you don't just hear this like massive, powerful energy that is coming out of Beto O'Rourke, who is the representative of El Paso, Texas already, Congressman O'Rourke, going up against Senator Ted Cruz, but neither one of them, I feel, is really going to be any sort of life-changing individual. However, Deborah Messing, the actress, was writing on Twitter that she believes that Beto O'Rourke will be a future president of the United States. What I can say is, if Beto O'Rourke does defeat Ted Cruz, perhaps that's true. Perhaps he will run for president. I mean, if he is defeated by Cruz, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we're just really not going to be very sure with that. Now, going across the board, talking about the future, I mean, this is way down very far into the future. What's going to happen to Susan Collins in Maine? Is Susan Collins going to be defeated? I mean, there's been talk that the former NSA advisor Susan Rice is going to take the seat of Susan Collins. The Democrats are absolutely furious with her for her vote to confirm Judge Kavanaugh. But bear in mind, there are many other individuals that voted for Kavanaugh. I mean, I don't know why so much weight was placed on Susan Collins. Joe Manchin, a Democrat from my home state of West Virginia, was also on board with that, with confirming Judge Kavanaugh. I can't even really touch that subject. I mean, we can leave that. What do you think? How much will someone's vote to confirm or deny Judge Kavanaugh affect their future in the Senate? Certain people, I think it was Elizabeth Warren, were calling for just if someone voted against, if someone voted for Kavanaugh and against, I was about to say against Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, I think it was Elizabeth Warren who said that you should use that against them to get them out of the Senate. I can't really say something that extreme, but what do you think about that? Moreover, let's look at a few of the other races that are going on. I mean, well, really, it's just sort of kind of something that is kind of just an overall message. It's like we're really noticing this massive trend. I mean, I want to say it was Bakari Sellers at Politicon who was saying that we're experiencing the browning of America, browning in quotation marks, and I was like, that sounds really awkward when you put it like that, but we're definitely having a massive shift in the representation of women and, of just people from a variety of backgrounds. Things are changing no matter what, and I hope that, if anyone comes away from anything from this little podcast here, it's that this is not a white man versus the world sort of thing. No, absolutely not. There are so many women running on Republican tickets. There are so many people of color running on the Republican ticket. We talked about Young Kim. We talked about Pearl Kim. I mean, there are multiple people from all backgrounds, running as Democrats and Republicans. We're just experiencing a sort of a cultural shift now where it's like we're going to see a massive amount of representation. But one big thing to note about the presidential election of 2016, who ran for the Democrats? Who was there during the first Democratic presidential debate? You had Lincoln Chafee, Hillary Clinton, Martin O'Malley, Bernie Sanders, Jim Webb. All white people. You had one woman, and you had Bernie Sanders was Jewish. That was the diversity that was going on for the Democratic Party. A party that just loves diversity, that rants and raves about diversity and the benefit of including minorities. Well, where was the diversity on the Democratic side? You're going to see something different in 2020, and that's one of the reasons why I've covered it on this channel about the presidential election going back, into 2017. I was talking about it because you might see as many as 15 candidates running for the Democrats. We're talking 12 people on the main stage debate and 13 people on the undercard, and you're going to see all kinds of women, all kinds of people of color, and yes, you're going to see some white men. I'm a white man myself, so I don't really mind about that. Well, you're going to see everybody, and we've actually experienced a massive cultural shift over the last 2 years. Will the blue wave happen? I'm not sure. I just wanted to talk about a few of the congressional elections that have stood out to me, And I'm really curious about what's going to come with these results. Once again, we talked about the 39th District in California. We talked about the 5th District in Pennsylvania, the 9th District in Texas. We talked about the Senate race in Texas and the governor's race in Florida. What's going to happen? Will the blue wave happen? Well, right now is the hard time. We have to wait and see. But what we can say is Halloween is right around the corner. I hope everyone is enjoying October. It's really, really nice in my part of the country, and I hope everyone around the world is just having an amazing October. Happy Halloween from here at Black Box Radio. Let's go out and vote in November.